An incident from her sister's life makes woman take a bold decision years later that changed her life completely. You never know who inspires you in what sense. While a majority of us are in constant search of an inspiration that could motivate us to do something great in life, Shaniece, a 21-year-old young woman, finds her inspiration in the most distinctive space. A life-changing incident hits somewhere deep in her heart. Keeping her inspiration in mind, she takes a bold decision, a decision that could cost her life, but she knew she had to do it. The consequences of her daring step would want you to do something in life. Shaniece was brought up in a very warm family environment. It won't be wrong to say that to her, the family held top priority. Her parents were the school sweethearts who knew each other since they were the age of 16. And she watched another fairy tale when her older sister Linda married her beau right after completing higher education. To Shaniece, life was nothing but a beautiful one until the day she found her sister struggling. While Shaniece was barely 14 years of age, Linda decided to move in with her partner Josh. She was excited to start a new life with him. While Shaniece was expecting to be a little sad about it, she was happy for her sister and herself. Shaniece was glad to know that she, as the younger sibling, would no longer have to oblige to her elder sister's orders and fulfill her stupid demands. Just like any other siblings, Linda and Shaniece shared their side of craziness. Linda always dominated her as she was the oldest one. She'd asked her to get everything while she would lay back on the bed. Shaniece was, of course, irritated with her elder sister and was often cranky with her. So when Shaniece learned that her sister was moving out, she knew she was now the master. Though initially she was happy to have her older sister's wardrobe all to herself, she soon started to miss her. She'd miss their cute little fights, the way they'd go shopping together, and how Linda would tease her. She felt isolated. Shaniece decided to meet Linda over the weekends and energized herself for the upcoming week. But things didn't go as planned. Shaniece had a lot to talk about to Linda. She took the bus all the way to Linda's place and throughout the way was making mental notes of what she had to say to her sister. As she reached her place, she never thought she'd be finding Linda in that condition. As Shaniece was walking towards Linda's house, she saw her brother-in-law Josh. He was sitting in his red truck and had a very stern look on his face. She stopped by to greet him, but strangely Josh went past by her without meeting her. Shaniece found it a little awkward but didn't bother much about it. It was only after she met Linda that things made sense. Shaniece knocks at Linda's door in a hurry. As she steps in, she was shocked to witness what she saw. She wasn't expecting Linda sobbing. She was in tears, her hair undone, her eyes puffy and red, her voice choked and her mascara running down her cheeks. Shaniece was scared. Shaniece ran to Linda and hugged her tight. She asked if Josh did something unpleasant or if he'd hurt her, which made her cry. Shaniece wiped off her tears. She couldn't see her sister like that, and Linda's response shocked her. She said in a stern voice that she had asked Josh to leave. Shaniece knew that something terrible had taken place between the two. Shaniece for an instant couldn't believe what Linda told her. She then took to her instincts and recalled that even her parents asked Linda not to marry such an early age. It was probably their immature behavior that they've landed in such a bad phase today, but Linda had an entirely different story to tell. Linda told Shaniece that the couple had been trying a baby for a year, but unfortunately things hadn't been working out as expected. The couple had already spent enough money on IVF treatments and weren't in a position to afford another attempt. But Josh wanted to give it a try that never succeeded. Shaniece had tears in her eyes knowing her sister was going through so much and she had no clue about it. That wasn't all though. Linda told her she had another miscarriage recently and now she was not optimistic when it came to having a family. Shaniece stayed over at her sister's place to convince her to try again, but things were going out of control. Linda was moving into a state of depression and nothing in life gave her happiness. She didn't even let Shaniece and Josh meet her. Her husband and sister were both worried to see her like that, and then Josh came up with an unorthodox idea to cheer his wife up. But would this idea work was something both Shaniece and Josh were unsure of. Little did Shaniece know her life would make a 180 soon. Josh had the thought of asking his own sister if she could act as a surrogate for their child. However, he wasn't sure how Linda and his own sister would react to this one. After all, it was a very big thing Josh would be asking his little sister to do. It was the only way he could return his wife's smile back. Would his sister agree or something more unfortunate come their way? Initially, Linda didn't agree to Josh's idea, but after a lot of convincing, she did. They invited Josh's sister over to their place to ask if she was ready to make such a big sacrifice for his brother and family. The couple didn't invest in much hopes with the sister as they knew something was too much to ask of someone. As Josh's sister heard about the situation her brother landed into, her heart melted. She could see in his eyes how badly he wanted to have a family. Moreover, Linda's miscarriage news left her speechless. After thinking for a moment, the least expected words came on her mouth. The sister agreed to help her brother. She wanted to give her brother and Linda the happiness they've been craving to taste since forever. She couldn't keep them from tasting the joy of parenthood. She was all up for embarking on this new journey, but she wasn't aware of one decision of hers would impact the teen Shaniece. Shaniece was astonished at Josh's sister's call. She was surprised how selflessly the woman agreed to help her brother. How can one agree to do something so demanding? Carrying a baby inside a womb and then at the end of 9 months handing it over to someone else needed courage. But was Shaniece thinking all this when she should have been happy for her sister? Shaniece had these vague thoughts that whether she had a heart this big to do something like that. Does she have the courage to carry someone else's baby in her womb and then emotionally hand it over to the parents? She was lost deep in her thoughts when she got the news of Linda becoming a mom through surrogacy and taking a decision. When Shaniece learned about Linda finally turning into a mother and tasting motherhood, she couldn't control her tears. She was so happy that tears ran down her face. That day when Shaniece was barely 14 years old, she took a decision. She promised herself that someday in the future she'd want to make someone's dream of becoming parents true. If she ever got a chance, she would love to act as a surrogate. Poor Shaniece couldn't have thought of the consequences back then. Shaniece was just 21 when she first met Jonna and Steve. The couple was looking for a surrogate and Shaniece knew it was time for her. She decided to act as a surrogate for them and flew all the way to Los Angeles to undergo IVF treatment. But unfortunately, things didn't go as they were supposed to. Shaniece had already seen Josh's sister during the phase when she was carrying Linda and Josh's baby in her womb. She was somewhat aware of the challenges pregnancy brought along, but what she was feeling was completely different. On her first trimester, her morning sickness manifolded. Something was off. Shaniece was very young to carry a baby, and things were turning stress-worthy when her nausea was accompanied by sleep deprivation. And that wasn't all. Her stomach was beginning to grow enormous. Not normally and regular size for pregnancy. It could keep growing and growing, and she decided to go to her doctor. Every woman knows that from the onset of the 5th month of pregnancy, the belly begins to grow more. But Shaniece was experiencing it a little soon and too much. Though the pregnancy didn't interrupt her daily chores except for the fact that she had severe back pain, her bulging stomach wouldn't stop growing. Jonna and Steve were worried as well. They were confused at the sight of Shaniece's belly, and the couple was over the moon to have gotten Shaniece as a surrogate mother for their child, but such strange sights were indicative of complications. Would Shaniece be able to bring happiness to the couple? The gynecologist was also taken aback at Shaniece's concern. She was in her 2nd trimester and the doctor performed an ultrasound. She rubbed the gel on her stomach and started looking at the screen to find the issue, and the results left the couple and Shaniece in shock. Steve, Jonna, and Shaniece had wrinkles all over their heads from worries. All they hoped and prayed for was a proper and healthy baby, but the doctor's expression made it all clear. Is something wrong? What are the complications? Is the baby not responding? Shaniece was preoccupied with all these unpleasant questions, and the doctor finally broke the silence. The doctor spoke out the least expected words. You're carrying triplets, Shaniece, and the babies are growing, due to which your stomach is growing more than usual. Shaniece was worried about this news instead of happy. She was wondering, how would the couple react as they wanted a single baby and not 3? Would Jonna and Steve be upset or mad? Luckily, though, the couple was overjoyed with this news. They always wanted a baby, and now they were getting 3. They considered themselves to be very lucky and blessed. As months passed, Shaniece's belly grew enormous. She faced severe body cramps and contractions, but she didn't let it bother her as she knew she was doing a good deed. After 9 months of struggling with a huge baby bump, Shaniece finally gave birth to 3 gorgeous babies. Jonna and Steve were blessed with 2 baby girls and a baby boy. They named their babies Willow, Daisy, and Harrison. A girl who was barely 21 years of age was so inspired by a little act of kindness she witnessed in her teens that she did something this beautiful for someone. In the words of Shaniece, it was a beautiful experience for her and something she'd cherish forever. She says that it's no less than a pure bliss to feel some movement inside you, and she also thanks Jonna and Steve for their tremendous support throughout her pregnancy. But this wasn't all. After giving birth to the triplets, Shaniece didn't bid farewell to them. She visits them on their every birthday and spoils her kids with all the love and care she can give. She feels truly blessed to be attached to those babies as someone no less than a mother. And to those who questioned her decision, she had something to say. Shaniece shed some knowledge to all those who hadn't supported her in this bold decision. She says that a lot of people have this misconception that the surrogate mother donates her egg to the couple, but that's not the case. The surrogate mother just serves as a host for the development of a fertilized egg. Shaniece also says that pregnancy isn't a cakewalk. This takes a toll on a woman's body. Not only is her health disrupted, but her hormones undergo major changes. Moreover, it's not only physical changes, but more psychological ones too. And when it comes to experiencing it at such a young age, it even has adverse effects. Shaniece is currently in a relationship, and she shares the ill experience of her life she had to now. She recently had a miscarriage and wonders if giving birth to a set of triplets in her young age had somewhere hindered with the uterus, and thus she was now facing problems with baby making. However, she still feels proud to be a surrogate to someone and advises others to do something similar. Shaniece advocates and advises surrogacy to anyone who wants it, as it is completely safe. But she also advises the one going for it to have proper research over the pros and cons. It's extremely important that a surrogate mother has constant support around her. People often think that surrogacy is for the money, but this is extremely wrong. As a surrogate mother, she's never paid for carrying a couple's baby, but she was paid for the expenses that she'll have to incur on the baby while she's pregnant. This is an emotional settlement and not a financial deal. Shaniece had another thing to say as well. She feels that in surrogacy contract, the surrogate mother is given more control and deciding power to make some decisions. But she feels the biological parent should be given more control, and they should be the deciding authority, as it is their baby, and they have a right to say in everything concerning the child. Shaniece's tale is one which has inspired a lot of couples to go for surrogacy, and at the same time it has somewhat changed people's perception of this medical treatment. It's needless to say that this young woman had fulfilled the dream for a couple in the best way possible. She is a true inspiration.